That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Is it on Twitter? Yep, there we go.
Guys, we're doing it.
We are social media-ing, as they say.
Yep.
Wait, my wireless works so slow here. For some reason on my laptop in spurts. Like I won't even be able to watch our Periscope. So I'm going to try to put the link on Facebook and it's going to take me like 3 hours. Tony, you do it? It's not load. Oh, there we go. We did it.
We're here.
John, do you have Snapchat?
No.
You're missing out on the DJ Khaled.
No, I'm tired of that dude.
Oh, DJ Khaled Snapchat.
What's he doing now?
Jay-Z at the Clippers game.
DJ Khaled.
Whew. Yeah, you're going to have to see who comments or whatever, because mine just only...
That's fine.
Oh, no, there we go. Maybe eventually we'll get
DJ Khaled!
Good for Soul.
All I do is win, no matter what.
I need you to stop that. Almost immediately.
That's how you do T-Pain. You just do this with your mouth and it kind of simulates auto-tune.
It's not the worst thing I've ever heard.
No, for a poor man's auto-tune, it works alright.
You should download the I Am T-Pain app. Do some fun with that. That was a lot of fun.
Could we do a whole podcast in the T-Pain voice?
We could.
Or like sing song
That
for
would be
us?
something else.
I'm here to talk about West Nicole, you know?
I mean, that would get about as old as quick as his music does.
Hey, Greg. Hey everyone, we're gonna get going here in just a second.
Are you all ready? I think Greg's ready.
Un momento, por favor.
Oh, you lucky.
That's one moment, please.
He's gonna eat a whole meal, and then he's got to get undressed for some reason.
Hey, I was hungry. All right,
No, it's cool. It's cool.
let's do this. You know what to do. Next time, just
You know
hit
what it
stop. Don't hit the pause. Don't hit the red button again. Just hit the stop
Okay,
button.
I'm not gonna remember to do that.
Oh, let me take out the vibrate on my phone.
And turn your phone off.
I just said it, John. Calm down.
He's like, I gotta make sure nobody can tell that I'm using it. Not that I have to.
On the podcast, when the press
Quick.
Is that okay with you, Greg?
No, dude. Let's get your concentration going. You know.
Well, Greg, listen.
Oh, listen. We gotta listen. It's like a listen man.
I'm checking my Snapchat.
Right, I understand.
I would give out my Snap thing on
Oh, but what?
I don't know.
Oh, you just don't know.
I don't know what I'll get.
He doesn't know. Hey, if you guys watching have anything you want us to talk about,
I have Lorenzo.
now's a
Lorenzo's
decent time to
Lorenzo's
ask.
on Snapchat.
All right. Shall we?
Hell yeah, dude. Who's ready?
I'm ready.
In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome back to the RGV Hoops podcast, brought to you by the folks here at RGV Sports. I am your host, Greg Luca, and I am joined by our girls basketball writer, John LaFollette.
Greg, did you win the lottery?
No, I'm not going to make any annoying posts about how I won $4 because I didn't do that either.
I'm not going to make that comment. Never mind. Anyways, I was going to say something really offensive.
Really?
Right at the top of the show, I was going to be in classic John.
Unlike you, so I'm pretty curious. And I also have our boys basketball writer, Mario Aguirre, here.
I blew $2 on lottery tickets. That's fine.
I spent $4.
My lady friend spent like 20 or 30.
20 or 30.
And my lady friend is actually in the room with us for the podcast. You can hear a wayward laugh or a wayward woo. It's it's her. It's my white girlfriend doing
So
her white
what
girl
did you
thing.
spend?
We were
She
in
spent.
some bum town, whatever, in the middle
Don't
of
mention
Texas, like every.
Yeah, we spent.
Okay.
I think that bum town was called Houston.
No.
No, we were in Houston.
No, I think we were on the outskirts.
Doesn't matter.
So,
So wait, and you spent 20 to 30 on
well,
tickets?
it was $20, and then for the power
Play was $10.
So I was like,
Oh, so you bought 10 tickets.
10. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's not insane.
No, it's not insane. It's a lot of tickets, but it's not
It's a lot of
insane.
tickets. And we only had 2 that hit any.
So wait, the fact that they sold this is like way off topic. The fact that they sold like 1 million tickets today because everybody wanted to win, does that money go into like the next prize pool, or what happens with that?
I forget. There's a
The
deadline.
Powerball people made bank. Today.
There's a deadline by which you have to purchase your ticket, and then all that money starts going forward into the next drawing, which will be
Because like
Saturday.
this prize pool was known since last week and didn't change, right?
Yeah.
So there must
It's
be
kinda weird.
another big prize pool, at least a little bit.
No, wouldn't it be stuck like really crappy if like next week you win it and it's just like, oh, it's only like $200,000.
Right.
What about the people who bought tickets like the week before and didn't win? Do those numbers still count?
No, you
No.
gotta buy again.
Uh-huh.
So if you want it, like if you have the same numbers.
Like if you get like rollover tickets, that would
'Cause it didn't
suck
win.
to be like one off and have all the numbers, but they're wrong. Anyway, people.
Anyways,
basketball.
basketball.
Let's start off with some boys talk this week. That is, last week we started with the girls, and this week we'll start with the boys and with Mario. Mario, I have a bunch of things I want to hit over the course of the show, but I'll start by just sort of opening the floor to you. What was the best game you covered? What sort of news did you stumble across this week? What's going on in the world of Boys Valley high school basketball?
Last Friday, I have video of it before some guy stood up and blocked the view.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
So it's the shot that never went in, as far as we could tell. I mean, you could tell by the celebration, but this guy, who I think was a wrestler for PSG North, had dyed hair. He stood up right as the shot went in. And so thanks for ruining the video. It sucks. I mean, we have 900 views, but I mean, you see the celebration. It's a pretty. It's the first time I see a buzzer beater here in the Valley. And it was a big win for Wesco East, which nearly blew a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter, and then kind of saved it there with that shot.
He banked it in off balance, right? Yeah.
Periscope went down.
Yeah. Bullets. Like it didn't say it was.
It's black. Like it's is it over?
You probably got a call.
Can you see
I
us?
don't have any friends.
Can you see us on Periscope, people?
Somebody just said it's back.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I just put mine.
All right, we're back.
I don't really understand. Could be an internet thing. I don't know. Is the link going to be the same?
Are you on Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're connected. We're good. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties there. So you can do it's
But like, do we have to?
no,
if
it's
people
good.
follow the link from Twitter, they'll get.
Yeah. I
Okay.
just refreshed the page. All right,
Cool.
We're back. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties. We were talking about Wesco East versus PSG North. We're going to resume the show.
Yeah, I got my phone.
You were going to say he banked it in.
Right.
Ready?
And the kid like banked it in at the buzzer off balance, right? It was like a really lucky shot. It seemed.
The PSG North coach said that he didn't think the Wesco East player, Jonathan Munoz, was actually looking at the basket when he threw it in. But if you look at the replay, he did. He was about 5 feet behind the three-point line and faded to his left as he threw it up and banked it in.
I mean, he knows where the basket is. I mean, he doesn't have to look at it necessarily.
Yeah, but I mean, he was falling to his left and kind of threw it up with two hands. And
Right.
first game winner of his life, and he's their second leading scorer.
Is that an especially important win for them? What does that do for the standings or for the playoff picture going forward?
It is because I think any one of the 5 teams in 31-6A, the top 5 teams, could win district. I mean, Wesco High, which was pretty high up in our top 10, and which is in first place in district for most of the season. If you look at the standings, I think they're number 4 or 5. So I mean, any one of those teams really could win the district. So any win against one of those upper tier schools goes a long way, especially as they head into the second round of district in a couple weeks.
Anything else that caught your eye this week? Any other news we need to hit on before we get into some other stuff here?
John covered Roe and Palmview, so that's a good game ahead just because those two teams are positioning, trying to get positioned there in the top of 36A.
So John, talk to me about that game before we get into some girl stuff. What do you remember from that one? Or
It was
what jumped out?
It was a close game. It was a sloppy game on both sides. As you know, if you're listening to this already, I covered girls basketball, so I'm not too familiar with the boys side. I just went in with some background knowledge that Mario shared with me before the game. But Roe loves to shoot the three, and they shot, from behind the arc the whole game. And they only hit like 3 threes the whole game. If they got a lot of decent looks, they just never went in. If they actually hit from a decent clip in that game, I think they win by double digits. I don't even think that game was close. But it was kind of a renaissance game for Roe in the fact that, from what I understand, Roe in recent years has been relying on post play. These past couple seasons, they've kind of had to change their game plan just because of the rosters they have. They go more perimeter oriented, but their guard play really won them that game. Their interior play won them that game. Freddie Ayala, he had a double-double, 12 points, 14 rebounds, from what I understand. So I was impressed with Roe's ability to kind of put that game away. It was close the whole way, and then the fourth quarter became a free throw shooting contest. And what was the guard's name? Alan Keith? Alex Keith, yeah, he was like 6 of 7 from the line in the fourth quarter. Just had ice in his veins and put it away for Roe. And with Palmview,
Did you see the Spanish Kevin Durant?
the Spanish Kevin Durant, yeah, what's his name?
Number 35. The roster changes from
It's
game to
like
game.
Ever. His first name's Ever.
It should have been Kevin.
Kevin?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Kevin.
how about Kever?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Kever.
How do you do?
I forget how he did. It was really weird seeing a 7-footer. Not a 7-footer. He's like, what, 6'7"?
I think the roster had him at 6'3", 6'4", but he looks tall.
He's just long and lanky. It was weird seeing a kid who would
Wait, what is this kid's actual name?
His first name on the roster was Ever.
What's his full name?
That's the thing. In the roster, Max Preps is different from what they have in the book, and it's changed for a couple times.
So he's like the mystery man?
Yeah.
I like this. Okay, keep talking about it.
The Spanish Kevin
It
Durant.
was weird kind of getting used to the fact of seeing this kid who otherwise would be in the post out there trying to shoot threes. He hit one or a few of them. He didn't really stand out in terms of his offensive production because it was just such a sloppy game. I was more focused on Jacob Salinas, the point guard there for Palmview, who averages close to 30 points a game. Rowe really focused on him on defense and tried to get the ball out of his hands. And anytime he put a shot up, they were trying to go get the rebounds and kind of keep the ball away from him at all costs. And he only finished that game with 9 points, and really quiet night from him.
This is one of my talking. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, it's not number 35, number 34, and it has him as Paco de la O. And
So y'all are talking about different people because he's got Ever Perez is on the roster.
That's what I'm saying. This roster on Max Press is different from what I've
I
seen.
see. Number 34 didn't stand out to me, though, to answer your
Okay,
question.
so it's probably Ever.
The one I want to talk about, this is one of my talking points for later, but since we're on them now, we can get to it. Jacob Salinas is the new Valley scoring leader as of this week. He passed Leo Lara from Santa Rosa.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell me about him as a player? What do you know about this kid?
Coach Andy Sainz at Palmview believes that Jacob Salinas is the best point guard in the Valley. Says it's just his opinion. I'm sure he thinks that other people would have maybe Ryan Garza from Edinburgh Vela ranked higher just because of the success the team has. But Jacob carries a big load for Palmview. He's undoubtedly their best player. Averages 25 points per game, I believe. Really competitive. Has challenged Coach Salinas to games like horse or one-on-one. Even though he's a short kid, I think he's maybe like 5'6"-ish. He still challenged Coach Sainz, who's 6'5", 6'6", and played college ball. So the kid isn't really scared of competition. He gets after his teammates. He was a role player last season, came off the bench, and this year he's their starting point guard.
I have to assume we're using point guard loosely because I don't see him in the assist leaders here.
They didn't submit the stats. They just had the scoring.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Well, either way, it seems like from what I was looking at that their team typically doesn't score a lot of points. It seems like he has to carry a big bulk of that offense.
Yeah, there's a lot of they graduated, I believe, their entire starting lineup, and that's where they brought Salinas off the bench and into the starting role. But I mean, I saw him play a month ago in a tournament game, and they seem to rely heavily on him. And I think he might be their only double-digit scorer, if I'm not mistaken.
John, girls' notes, what do you got for me this week? What was the best game and what kind of things do we need to talk about right off the top?
Well, first of all, let me apologize if you hear the occasional sniffle or clearing of the throat. I'm on the back end of a cold here. So.
I think it's going around the office.
I just think it is. We just touched hands too accidentally.
Yeah, I know. I'm really scared now.
Yeah, don't be scared. Anyways, what do you want to know about again? What's the question? I'm sorry.
Just give me your game of the week or anything big notes-wise that we need to touch on off the top.
I went to 2 games. Friday I was at Wesel Coeast versus PSC North. Tuesday was Palmview versus Rowe. It was a doubleheader there, boys and girls. Wesel Coeast was the game that most intrigued me because, as we mentioned on the last show, they really kind of turned a corner. Their offense was back. They'd won 5 straight games, but that game against PSC North was kind of going to be a measuring stick. The teams they'd beaten up into that point during that winning stretch weren't quite up to snuff with where the competition that they wanted to be, I suppose you could say. And that game was pretty much all PSC North all the time after the first quarter. Of the 6, PSC North is one of the best shooting teams in the Valley, and of the 6 players who played in that game, 5 shot 50% or better from the field. Just a shooting clinic for Wesel Coeast. for PSC North there against Wesel Coeast. And with Wesel Coeast, they rely so much on defense because they don't have that go-to scorer. They only average about 40 points per game, and I think they scored 44 against PSC North. So offensively, it wasn't like they didn't do worse than their average. They just don't have the kind of shooting power to keep up with PSC North when they're red hot like that.
Anything news-wise that we need to touch on? Any roster moves or anything that we have to talk about in that sense?
Well, you want to talk about Donna now or you want to talk about Donna later?
Well, we can get into it now. I think that's one of the things that we need to get into from a talking points perspective. So let's hit it now and then talk to me about what's going on there.
All right. Well, as we mentioned on the last show, we did a buy or sell segment in terms of teams who may or may not be in the playoffs.
And it's on the way back.
Yeah, it's on the way back. With Donna, I sold absolutely on the Bravettes there, Lady Bravettes, and there was a whole cacophony of reasons here why I was selling on them. This was a team that won 32-5A last year. This year they were only like 5-13 going into district play, and they had injuries, they had chemistry issues, their best player quit, and come to find out, also they had some issues with their gym. Their gym was undergoing maintenance, so they've been traveling a lot, playing a lot more games on the road, and having to deal with some cumbersome practice times, from what I understand. I just talked to their coach, Kevin Cromer, today. I've tried to reach out to him in the past. I've been unsuccessful. But he confirmed a lot of what I heard through the rumor mill. I said on the last show that Eileen Garza was hurt. She was not hurt. There was a different player. But he did confirm the biggest news was that Lauren Williams, their point guard, their junior point guard, their best player, missed 3 games. She left the team around mid-December because of personal issues and because of some dissatisfaction with teammates. She felt like she was being asked to do too much. The coach said that on defense they were playing 5 people, but on offense everyone would just kind of get the ball to Lauren and they would just kind of let her do her thing. And she got kind of burned and overwhelmed by that and just didn't want to be a part of a team like that. So she apologized to the team for leaving, came back. The Coach Cromer said he let the team vote as whether or not they would welcome her back at all, and ultimately her teammates came through for her there, and so Lauren Williams is back. And now Donna in district play, they're 3-3, and they're on the cusp. They're tied with Ed Calchelsa for the 4th spot there in the playoffs, and they're from that district. And lo and behold, Ed Couch is who they play on Friday. So by Friday, if they come away with the win over the Yellow Jackets, they're right back in the thick of things here in the playoffs. So for all the few ups but the many downs they've had, the Bravettes are right back in the thick of things, I should say here.
All right, so now we're moving the show into what I'm going to call the hot seat segment, and I came up with that just off the top of my head just now. We're going to do this every week where I sort of take a look at the standings changes, the stats changes, and whatever happened during the week, the different scores, and come up with things that I want to ask you all about. So Mario, you're up right now. First thing I want to talk about, Sherryland Pioneer beats Roma 56-52 this week. Jordan Wilson scores 22 points to lead Pioneer. What does this mean for 31-5A? What do you know about that game and those teams at this point?
Pioneer, by many accounts, they were supposed to be the number 2 team in district, and Roma was right there. I kind of saw Pioneer as a 2A and Roma as a 2B, but I think this just further solidifies Pioneer's position there at number 2. Pioneer looks a lot different than they did last season. Last season they might have had 2 players who I thought they could go to, and this year, just in seeing them against Vela, it looks like they've had a complete makeover. They have a bunch of athletes. Roma, I haven't seen play yet. We know about the Spanish Shack, or the Roma.
Indeed.
The Roma Shack,
I
who is near, I think, a double-double machine, but we'll know more when we get the stats from them. And I just think this just solidifies Pioneer's position number 2. I think they'll finish the season at number 2. I think there's a little bit of a gap there from 1 and 2, and I don't really see any surprises coming out of 31-5A. I think the 4 teams you see now with Vela, Pioneer, Valley View, and Roma will be the playoff teams when the season ends.
Los Fresnos beats Brownsville Veterans, I believe, in double overtime this week.
Mm-hmm.
That gives them a little bit of a cushion in that district. What does this mean for them going forward, or what do you know about that game?
I mean, that's the Brownsville Herald side, but I'm a little bit surprised just because I in the one game that I saw Los Fresnos play, they beat Edinburgh North. They were small. I think Brownsville Vets has a few more athletes, and Brownsville Vets is also state ranked. So if you would have asked me before the game, I would have said Brownsville Vets would have come away with this game. So I don't know what happened in this game, but I know they have a consistent scorer there with De La Cruz, I believe, who's been there 3-4 years now, Los Fresnos. I covered the team when I was in Brownsville a couple years ago, and they've been pretty competitive with Coach Smooth Los Fresnos into number 2 in our top 10. And I think just the 2 top teams in this district were Los Fresnos and Brownsville Vets, so this gives Los Fresnos a little bit of advantage now going into the second half of the district.
In 32-5A, PSJA Southwest was a team you talked about last week as something that had surprised you in a positive way, coming back with the roster that they had, with some depletion there and really having some good results early. They, from what I see on the standings, lost twice this week. Are we concerned about them? What do we think about PSJA Southwest going forward?
I am pulling up the schedule as we speak, but I think just their success early on, I think, is a positive sign considering last year that was the Southwest team that struggled. Let me see who we lost to.
Let me see. I think I have it up here already. I might be able to find it a little bit quicker.
Okay. So yesterday, PSG Southwest played Mercedes.
And last week they lost to Ed Couchhouse.
Yes, I mean those are 2 quality wins, 2 playoff caliber teams. I don't really think that's a cause for concern there. I haven't seen Southwest play yet, but they're tied there. There's a three-way tie for third place in district with Ed Calchals at PSJ High and Southwest now. So I don't think it's alarming at all. I mean, they're still in the playoff mix.
All right, you're up the hot seat, John. You're up. Now, I'm surprised you didn't go this way for your game of the week, but Harlingen High beat Brownsville Vets in overtime to take the lead here in 32-6A. Did you think this game would be as close as it ended up being?
Well, first of all, you said games that I covered.
No, I said just what's your game of the week?
This was the game of the week, certainly. Andrew Crum covered this one for the Brownsville Herald. If you want to check out his story, it's on RGVSports.com. I have gone on the record on Twitter and on the show saying that I don't think Harlingen is going to lose to a Valley team all year. It seems like they kind of come back down to earth a little bit. There was a period there where they were just crushing teams. Didn't matter if it was the Weslaco or PSA North or whoever. They were crushing teams by 15, 20 points a game. They only beat Los Fresnos by 7. Now they only beat Brownsville Veterans by 1 in overtime, and they trailed for much of that game. They were down 17-6 after the first quarter. It was all Brownsville at the early part of that game. But Harlingen, from what I understand, just kind of played some ugly basketball. They just pressed a lot, and Brownsville didn't do themselves any favors by going 10 of 20 from the free throw line. That probably was the difference maker for them on that side. But what was the question?
Well, I'll give you one now. Is Brownsville Vets the second best team in the Valley?
I don't think so. No, I saw PSA North play Brownsville Vets at the Border Bash tournament, and PSA North was up by 20 pretty early on in that game. I think PSA North is probably the second best team in the Valley. Here's your top 4. Harlingen's a clear number 1, and then between Weslaco, Brownsville Vets, and PSA North, any 3 of those teams could make a case to be the second best team. It just depends on the matchups, I guess, or how they look on any given night. But the clear-cut number 1 is Harlingen. To answer your question, any of those 3 that I just mentioned could be a number 2.
Also this week, Mission Vets beat Rio Grande City to give Sharyland a little cushion in 31-5A, and that game actually wasn't that close. It looks like 45-31 for Mission Vets. We worried about Rio Grande City, or do we like Mission Vets? What do we take of that game? Because that was one that jumped out to me a little bit.
To answer your first question, I'm concerned about Rio Grande City in the short term. Their star guard, Adriana Cruz, she went out in the first quarter with a Charlie horse. She went up for a layup and took a knee right to the thigh. That was earlier in the first quarter. She didn't come back. I talked to Coach Valenciano there at Rio Grande City today on the phone. Says she's a game-time decision. She wants to play, but that's up to the trainer, not her. And he said, just aside from that game, they played really flat in the first half. And I asked if that concerns him because they got to play Sharyland on Friday. I'll be at that game. That's for first place in 31-5A. And he's like, yeah, I am a bit concerned, not only with the injury, but just how flat they looked. He said with Rio, despite being one of the better teams in the Valley this year, there's games where they look like $1 million, and there's games where they have no clue what kind of team they are. And as far as Mission Vets, they started out 1-2. They did lose to Roma, which kind of surprised me. But as long as they have Ashley Smith and she's healthy, they're going to be a playoff team in this district. They're just going to do Mission Veterans things as long as she's out there. So I guess if they would have lost this game, they would have gone 1-3, which I think would have been, or 1-4, I should say. That would have given me cause for concern. But now they're going to be fine going forward. Like I said, as long as Ashley Smith is healthy.
Weslaco East lost twice this week, and the game against PSA North was not that close. What do you make of them going forward? Is that a team you're concerned about?
Nah, I'm not concerned about it because they lost to PSA North and they lost to Edinburgh High. And Weslaco East, I think they're a playoff team in this district for sure. They're probably going to get the 4th seed. What separates Weslaco High and PSA North and Edinburgh from Weslaco East is Edinburgh, PSA North, Weslaco High. They have go-to players, and Weslaco East doesn't have that. They've got good players, they've got role players, they've got players that fit into a certain niche, but they don't have that one person that can just go get you a bucket whenever you need one, and that's something that they really lack. Like I said earlier, that's why their offense is just kind of so-so. That's why they rely so much on defense. But if someone were to ask me who's going to take the last shot for Weslaco East during a game, I have no clue who it would be. I know that Shiloh Lefevre leads them in scoring, but I don't know if she's going to take the last shot for them. It might be Giselle Reyes, it might be Kimberly Charles, it could be anybody. I really don't know.
They don't have a Jonathan Munoz?
They don't have a Jonathan Munoz, no. I like Weslaco East. I think they're a playoff team, but I just think they're a tier below some of the other top teams in 31-6A.
Looking at your top 10, Mercedes is in this week, and they replaced Los Fresnos. What can you tell me about the Lady Tigers and the decision to move them in?
Andrew Crum and I, we vote on this for the girls' side. We kind of discussed this. We had Los Fresnos originally in there. They've been in there pretty much all season. And then I looked at the district standings, and they're 2-4. Like, if the playoffs were to happen right now, they wouldn't be a playoff team.
Wow.
And you're not a playoff team, you're not a top 10 team then.
Yeah,
so
most likely not.
we kind of had a debate. It was between Mercedes, Mission Vets, and Harlingen South. Harlingen South's only a 500 team outside of district, so you kind of take that into consideration. Mission Vets has beat Mercedes, but ultimately what got Mercedes the nod here was the fact that they're first place in 32-5A. And I said this last week, and this is probably the last time I'll stress this. It's so hard to gauge how good Mercedes really is because 32-5A is not a very strong district. They're going to win a lot of games. I'm ready to give 32-5A to Mercedes right now. Wrap it up in a nice little bow, hand it to them. Like, they're going to win this district. Aside from pace, they beat every other team in this district by 15, 20 points easily. They are the class of this district. Congratulations, Lady Tigers. But the thing is, like I said, Donna's hasn't been that strong. Donna North has not been that strong. PHA Southwest, and even Porter has not been that strong. So I feel like they're going to inflate their record a bit. And I feel like if you put Mercedes in 31-5A, maybe they're only the third best team. But again, Mercedes does have some signature wins. They beat Rio Grande City, who's a top 10 team, and they beat McAllen Road, who's a top 10 team as well. So I'm not going to rain entirely on the Mercedes parade. Like I said, they're a good team, especially in this district. They're by far and away the best team. And props to them on being in the top 10.
Could a rejuvenated Donna give them a run in the second half of district play? At least in their matchup, not necessarily in the standings?
In terms of matchup, I could see it because Lauren Williams, she's a point guard, but she's 5'8". She's huge, and she'd be the biggest player on the Mercedes team. That's a mismatch. When these two teams played, I forget the score, but it wasn't even close. They'll have to play each other again in round 2. Who knows? Maybe Donna will be rejuvenated by then. It'd be interesting to see how that turns out. But as of now, I'm still going Mercedes all the way. I would not be surprised if they go undefeated in district because, like I said, they're just crushing everyone.
All right, so let's move back into buy or sell for this week. Last week we talked about the district leaders. This week we're going to talk about some fringe playoff teams and whether you guys buy or sell them making it. So let's start with Mario Kart. We have, for District 36A, we have La Jolla Palmview.
We do.
What do you think about them? Buy or sell them making the playoffs?
At
We
the
talked about them a little at the top, but give me the bigger picture now.
Start of the season, I wouldn't have placed any type of wager on it just because they graduated their whole starting lineup. I think it's pretty tough to recover from that within a season. But they played Edinburgh Villa really tough in a tournament championship game. And I'm usually surprised at the reactions afterward when certain teams take it really hard because I think Palmview really felt like they had a chance against Edinburgh Villa. They led Villa the first, second quarter, and then lost it as the game went on. So Coach Science was saying how like the team really grew up during the tournament, how they were still trying to find certain players to kind of fit around a couple of their returners. But I think Palmview's made some strides since then. They're in the playoff mix right now at 2-1. It's still early, but I think they'll be a playoff team when it's all said and done. I think Mac High didn't really think would challenge for a spot. They graduated everyone. La Jolla High, I thought would be in it just because they entered district as a 500 team and now have lost 3 out of 4. And Juarez Lincoln has not really played a 500 ball all season, so I think Palmview will be in there. I think the question is just where they fit in the top 4.
In 31-6A, one of those fringe teams is PSJ North. Buy or sell them making the playoffs?
Buy. I think any one of those 5 teams will make it. They have a chance at it. It's tough. It's tough. Like I said, any one of those 5 teams I think could win district. Like Westaco High, I had as my favorite to win district, and then they lost to Edinburgh North. And then Edinburgh High beat Westaco High. And for a while, it was Edinburgh High was number 5. So I think just on any given night, any one of these teams could win.
The other team in the mix there that you haven't mentioned, it's Edinburgh North, Edinburgh High, Westaco East, Westaco High, and PSJ North right now as they stand. In 32-6A, I want to ask you about Harlingen South. Buy or sell them making the playoffs?
Buy. I think they were one of the safe bets going into the season. They returned a lot of players from a year ago that lost just by a few points to McAllen High in the 3rd round. They have a couple studs, a couple bigs there that have really helped carry the way, so I buy them as a playoff team.
In 31-5A, one of the few districts where there's not a tie right now, buy or sell Spanish Shack and the Roma Gladiators?
I buy. I think Mission Vets has an uphill battle to try to make the playoffs. They graduated a lot of players too. Rio Grande City has not really looked that impressive, and Sherilyn High, even though I believe they brought back one of their players that they were counting on at the start of the year who transferred from McAllen Memorial, it doesn't seem to have made a difference. They've lost 3 in a row to Sir District, so I think the playoff picture is pretty set there in 31-5A.
And in 32-5A, we have 3 teams fighting for 2 spots. I'm going to focus on PSJ High. Buy or sell them coming out of that mix?
I buy them. I spoke with their coach today. They really they've had a lot of turnover there the last couple of years. Even this season, the PSJ High is on the third coach in 3 years, and they made the playoffs the last 2 seasons despite those moves. But this year, coach was telling me how they started the year with 10 seniors. I believe it was 10, and then went down to 3. Said players left for whatever reason, and he's okay with that because now it brings in the players who actually want to be there. And by the same token, they brought up a lot of players from JV and from the freshman dark team or freshman dark. And now they kind of have an eye on the future in that they surround some of these young players with upperclassmen, and they're just hoping to just give them some experience and some playing time now while kind of trying to develop their talent for the future.
All right, Mario's in a full-on spending spree. Everybody's in. John, it's your turn. Buy or sell Mac High in 36A.
I'm buying. I think Mac High is going to do it. I know on the last show I said La Jolla could give them a run for their money. I think La Jolla kind of shot themselves in the foot in the first round here. I was kind of doing some number crunching here for Mac High. For La Jolla to make the playoffs. And then they finished round 1 of their district play. They have a bye Friday. They're 2-4. If they want to get to the 4th seed, they have to win 4 out of the next 6 games. One of those has to be Mac High. And then they have to hope that Mac High falters a little bit along the way. I don't see that happening. I think Mac High is going to stay here. And Mac High is kind of in the same position that Westlake Coease was in that I just mentioned. You know, McAllen Rowe, La Jolla Palmview, McAllen Memorial, those 3 teams all have go-to players that are difference makers for them. Mac High doesn't necessarily have that go-to player, but they do have a very balanced team. They've got some post-play. Sabrina Guzman tore her ACL during practice. She's out for the year. Second straight year that a big girl from Mac High has gone down with an ACL injury, but they still have Sydney Hamilton there anchoring their defense inside. They've surrounded her with a lot of shooters, especially having Will Banks, a sophomore guard, who's a 3-point threat for her. So they don't have that go-to, but they do have role players. They have skillful players, and they have players that know what they're doing. They're out there on the court. So, yeah, but I think Mac High is going to be in here.
In 31-6A, the 4th place team is Westlake Coease. We already said you're buying them, so I'm just going to move on to 32-6A, where the 4th place team, or at least one of the ones in the mix, no, they have it all by themselves right now, is Brownsville-Hanna. They're 3-3 in district. Do you buy or sell them making the playoffs and holding on to this spot?
That's tough. I'm not too familiar with this district. Just for the sake of it, let's just say sell. I'll sell on Brownsville-Hanna.
I think the team to watch would be the formerly top 10 Los Fresnos, right?
Right. I think Los Fresnos. You have to with Los Fresnos, they're 2-4, but their district schedule was pretty front heavy. They're going to be 3. I forget. They played Harlingen, Brownsville Vets, and all those. Some of the top teams in this district. I think it is going to come down to Los Fresnos versus Hanna, but just for the sake of being different, I'll say Los Fresnos. Although Hanna does have the 2nd leading scorer in the Valley, I believe, or 3rd leading scorer. Miss Paz there, she's averaging about 17 points a game. Same clip that Ashley Smith is doing in Mission Vets. So, just for the sake of being different, let's say Los Fresnos.
In 31-5A, a team tied with that Mission Vets right now is Roma. They are 3-2. Do you buy or sell them, holding on to the playoff spot right now?
I think Sherilyn's in, Rio Grande City's in, Mission Vets is in. It's going to come down to Roma versus Vela. And Roma has already beaten Vela, but that was when Vela was without Jada Muhammad. She's back now. She's played about 11 games on the season for them. She's doing, Jada Muhammad things. I tried to reach out to their coach, Lottie Zarat, today. I was unable to get a hold of her to talk a bit about how Jada's coming along. She had a high ankle sprain that she suffered during Border Bash around Thanksgiving, so she missed significant time with that injury. Jada Muhammad, when she's healthy, I've heard coaches tell me that she's one of the best players in the Valley. So as long as Jada and Bianca Cortez are healthy for Vela, I'm buying them as a playoff team. I'm going to sell on Roma. Sorry, Gladiators.
And then lastly, 32-5A, a team we've already talked about a decent bit, but you got to give me the bottom line now. Buy or sell on Donna High making the playoffs?
What concerns me about Donna at the end of the day is Coach Carmer said that, their offense is just ice cold. He's been even during practices, he's just running his team through basic shooting drills, just trying to get these kids to see the ball go in the basket. Ed Couch isn't there right now. Ed Couch had their offense is clicking, their offense is going. I've seen them play. They've got some fantastic little guards there, and they've got some size as well. But even those posts they have, they can hit you. They can play a little Chris Bosh on you and hit some threes. So I'm gonna stick with Ed Couch. I'm gonna sell on Donna, but I'll buy Ed Couch.
All right, so we made it through buy or sell. We've already made it through the hot seat, and now we got to talk about some things coming up. Let me get the game of the week on the boys' side from you, Mario. What are you looking ahead to?
I am covering Westaco and Westaco East on Friday. And again, two of the better teams in 31-6A. If I'm not mistaken, they're also both ranked in our top 10. Well,
Westaco is 6 and Westaco East is 10 by the looks of it.
Yeah, and Westaco High is coming off They lost to Edinburgh High on Tuesday, so it'll be interesting to see how they respond coming off that loss on Tuesday.
These two teams we talked about, kind of the packed race right now, they're tied with PSG North at 2-1 right now, and that's again 3 teams for 2 playoff spots is what it looks like at the moment.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go. You know what? Let's do John's game of the week first, and then we'll come back to Mario for the upset alert. John, what is your game of the week? What are you looking ahead to for this week in girls basketball?
Wait, excuse me. Should we follow up on our upset alert from last week too?
We can do that. I
Okay.
just have no recollection of what they were. but
But
be ready to do it when we get to that.
I got 2 big games, Friday and Tuesday. Friday, like I just mentioned at the top of the show, Sherryland versus Rio Grande City. That's for first place there, at least a tie. If Rio Grande City wins, it's a first place tie there in 31-5A. Those 2 teams would be they'd be 5-1 if that were the case. Looking forward to that one. There are 4 Valley Girls players that average a double-double. Excuse me. And 3 of them will be in this game.
Huh.
You got Josie and Maya of Rio Grande City, and then Sherryland has 2. What a luxury, right?
Right.
Anna Marshall, a sophomore, she averages 15 and 10, and Maddie Garza averages 10 and 10. For those of you who don't know, the 4th player to average a double-double is Sylvia Petters of Edinburgh Economy. So, but
Look at this fact bomb you just dropped on the podcast.
it's excuse me, it's going to be all size all the time in this one. But the guard play will come into effect as well. I mentioned Miss Cruz for Rio Grande City. She's a game time decision, but also Sonia Trevino for Sherryland High. She's given them a spark in their guard unit that they didn't necessarily have last year. She was on this team last year. I don't remember her playing too much. I think she might have had some injuries that kind of kept her hampered for much of the season. But when I talked to Coach Valenciana from Rio Grande City about their matchup, he said aside from their size, Sonia Trevino, she's so fast. He says there's some plays where she'll get a rebound and then in the blink of an eye she's down the court getting a fast break layup. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We talked about this a bit last week. I think Sherryland gets the win here. They're state ranked for a reason. They're number 23 in the state among 5A teams. And I feel like Sherryland carries themselves with a sense of we've been here before. They've been the more consistent team on the year than Rio Grande City has. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be fun, but ultimately I favor Sherryland in this one. And then Tuesday, real quick, I will be at Weslaco High, PSG North versus Weslaco High, round 2. PSG North was up by double digits in round 1, and Weslaco came away and clipped them there in that one, and that's why they're undefeated in that district. So if PSG North wants to get a second district title for back-to-back years, they're going to have to do it at the expense of Weslaco. If Weslaco wins this, I think it's safe to say Lady Panthers are going to walk away with the district title on that one.
Big week of games upcoming, it sounds like.
Yep.
All right, upset alert time. Mario, let's, you were right on this one. What did we do last week? Did you get it right? What did you pick and how did it go?
I did not. It was the Adam Solis revenge game where.
So you had Mission Vets. I'm going to start keeping track of this so I can rub it in your guys' faces later.
No, I mean,
Mission
actually.
Vets over Roma.
Wait,
you were wrong.
Was it that one? No, I said if there was one.
Oh, dude, I need you to know what it was because I don't remember what it was.
It might have been that one. I think I think it was.
Damn it. All right, we're going to have to check the archives.
Okay.
So wait, did you get it right?
No, I said if there was one, Mission Vets might upset Valley View.
So did you not make a pick?
I forget if we did or not. We could check that.
No, we made for sure did.
we did picks.
Okay. So Valley View, I lost because Valley View beat Mission Vets.
Oh.
I said if Mission Vets was going to win a game in the next couple of games, it would be this one because they were playing at home. Adam Sleeks came back to Mission Vets, and it was a pretty underwhelming game in the sense that it kind of looks like a halftime score. Valley View won 33-29, but Adam Sleeks did in fact lead Valley View with 8 points, and Valley View is in the playoff mix not as a result, but I mean their Valley View is now 16-11, 3-1 after a couple wins since then.
So what is our next upset pick? This one I'll write down and you won't be able to.
Well, I'm looking at the schedule. I don't really see one.
Well, you're going to have to see one.
If you want me to pick one. See, this is the same thing as last week. Last week I didn't think Mission.
It's not that I want you to pick one, it's that the listeners need you to pick one.
Okay. See, I could go the Greg way and pick a boring one.
No, because then it's not an upset. You brought this on yourself. John, while Mario thinks, what was your upset pick last week? Do you remember?
I put La Jolla Palmview on upset alert, and they did not get upset at all. They beat La Jolla High 54-24. It's a 30-point win for the Lady Lobos there.
Wow, so you weren't even close.
Wasn't even close. Hopefully,
do you have your pick for next week figured out?
I do.
All right, well, bring it.
I just said as long as Ashley Smith is healthy, they're going to be fine. They're still going to be fine. But now that Jaden Muhammad is back for Edinburgh Vela, I'm putting the Mission Veterans Memorial Lady Patriots on upset alert against Vela. That game is Friday there at Mission Veterans High School.
This is 10-16 and 2-3 overall Vela, beating 17-11 and 3-2 in district Mission Veterans.
Yep.
Sounds good to me. Mario, you've had about 30 extra seconds to make a pick. Well, I'll give you a little more time because I typed John's backwards. So it's Mission Veterans over... No, it's Edinburgh Vela over Mission Veterans. Right? Yeah, I had it right the first time. This is even more time than I'm buying.
Vela over Mission Vets. I'm picking it.
Okay, what do you got?
I have Sherryland High upsetting Rio Grande City. And for those of you listening...
Oh, wow. That's pretty bold.
Yeah. So Sherryland is 4-16 overall, 0-3 in district, and Rio Grande City has won 5 more games. They're 9-17, 0-3 is one district.
So they're both 0-3 in district, but it's that Sherryland High has been really struggling, and Rio Grande City has been struggling slightly less.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, what are the factors that are leading you to go this way?
I'm hoping that they're big, that they're welcoming back Sherryland High. I'm going to pull up his name right here. I'm hoping that by now he's settling in. He's had to sit out a year because he transferred from McGowan Memorial, presumably because they might have found that it was for academic reasons, but I have to check on that. And he is a 6'7" kid, and in talking with Coach Keith before the season, he said Sherryland was going to have 3 phases to the season: the one where they start, the one where they bring back football players, and then the third one where they bring in their 6'7" big. And they presumably had him back since January 1st or 2nd, around the time they opened district. But let's see, his name is Max, and I can't say his last name.
Looks like an Oyerbides.
Do you know? Did he play?
I'm just trying to sound it out.
Yeah. I'm really bad at his last names, but yeah, he sat out a year, and now he's back for them. So if they get him going, I see Sherryland as being a little bit better just because they haven't really had the bigs that they've had the last couple seasons where they had a 6'7" kid, De La Garza, and then they had Pat, who was 6'5", both All-Valley first team selection. So if Max can get back in there and give him a spark, I think Sherryland could upset Rio Grande City, which has also struggled for parts of this season.
Anything else you guys want to hit on before we get out of here? I got your upset picks, I got your games of the week, I got your games of the past week, I got some buy and sell, I got some talking points. We hit a lot of things today.
32-3 started district play not too long ago. There's only 5 teams in that district, so they have a short district schedule. Lyford and Santa Rosa are tied for the lead right now in that district, 1-0 for what that's worth. More substantially, though, in 32-4A for girls, we have a 3-way tie for first place. We had 3 teams at 5-1 here: Rio Hondo, Hidalgo, and Zapata. Hidalgo has beat Zapata. I think Rio Hondo has beat Hidalgo. They've all 3 got wins on each other's. I think Zapata beat Rio Hondo as well. So that's a little last bit of tidbit before we get going here.
And so I'm going to be at Westaco East at Westaco High. But if I could clone myself, I would also be at PSJ North at Edinburgh High.
That'd be a good girls game too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Again, just I think any matchup between these 5. The top 5 teams in 31-6A is interesting, given that any one of them could beat each other.
Right. I wish I could clone myself just so I could be able to cover just 31-6A by itself, because every game, almost every night. I mean, every night there's almost always 2-3 good games.
Yeah, they have 4 top 10 teams, something like that.
Something like that. There's 3 for girls.
Man, crazy.
Yep. No, they're good.
Good. Another interesting tidbit out of 32-2A. San Isidro lost this past Tuesday. And it was a little bit surprising just because I think San Isidro was undefeated last year. In district, the coach has been there close to 2 decades now, and they've won a number of district titles, but they went undefeated last season. Again, they're state ranked this year. They lost to Santa Maria on Tuesday, 39-27.
To 27.
It's a little bit of a surprise there.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys want to keep in track with everything these guys will be covering this week and everything going on in the world of boys and girls basketball in the Valley, you can follow us at RGV Sports. You can follow John where?
On Twitter at John Filet.
And Mario?
At Mario_gear.
We're on Facebook at RGV Sports. You can obviously get all the stories and the notebooks and the standings and the stats and everything else.
And the Glavin. That's your Simpsons reference.
On RGVSports.com. What else do we have, guys? Anything else I need to plug?
What's going on in the world of soccer? Soccer's been going on.
Soccer is just getting underway. We got Juarez Lincoln and Sherryland High on the boys' side killing it in the Mission Tournament. Valley View doing its thing up in Houston, I think, where their tournament was. On the girls' side, you got McCallum Memorial actually lost to Sherryland High, I believe it was, yesterday. So now the top three looks like Sherryland Pioneer, who won the Laredo tournament, Sherryland High, and then McCallum Memorial. So it's early, and a lot of stuff is going to shake out over the course of the season, of course. But first weekend, those are the guys who jumped out.
What about wrestling?
District is coming up in a couple weeks. Very interested to see that. All the teams, I think, are north of San Benito. So there's no teams in the Lower Valley, San Benito up, and it's broken up into two districts, District 16 6A and District 16 5A. And I think Ria is thrown in with the 5As. But,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I think there's even a couple Corpus Christi schools in that. Rio Grande City is always favored in both boys and girls. I think it was Westaco High that won last year in the 6A. But, yeah, it's coming up in a couple weeks. It'll be split over 2 days on back-to-back weeks.
Swimming, they just ended a 3-week vacation. Last week they were at Harlingen.
That's sweet.
Yeah, for the Christmas holidays. District competitions are coming up soon, which means the March to State will begin in earnest here in a couple weeks. And also on the horizon in less than a month, track and field starts. My favorite beat to cover. Can't wait for that.
Indeed. All right, well, then I guess that's everything we got for this week. We'll see you guys next. Oh, Mario said
We'll leave it for after hours.
Yep, we're good. Also, before we go, I wrote a feature story on Westaco High's Amy Garcia. It's out today in the Monitor and on RGVSports.com. Check it out if you will, please. Thank you.
All right, peace out, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
You keep that one.